Hey guys, welcome back. Stream has started to flow behind me, as you can see there, so I don't know if that's coming through on the mic or not, but we'll see what it does. Today we're going to talk about the number one false asset people subscribe to en masse, probably for the last century, maybe more. And for some reason, I'm only able to get through to maybe 1 in 5 people when I explain this. And even the ones that agree with me tend to just fall right back into their old ways when it comes to this false asset, which, surprise, it's your house. By far the number one falsest asset there is. People say, oh no, it goes up in value, it's an amazing investment, you gotta have a house, stop giving your money to a landlord who brings no value. Look, apartment renting aside, your house is not an asset. For it to be an asset, it would have to put money in your pocket, which it decidedly does not, unless you have a rental property or you rent your house as a chalet or something, but that makes it a completely different type of asset. I'm talking about the house, the primary residence you live in 24/7, right? This thing only takes money away from you. It takes it away in taxes, in maintenance, in upgrades, in renovations. There's just no end to the stuff that breaks and wears down. Easily $10,000 or $20,000 a year over multiple years to keep it, acceptable and presentable. If you don't do your maintenance, your gutters will fall off, your roof will start leaking, you name it. You got to stay on top of it. Your windows eventually all have to be changed. It's a never-ending cycle of spending money, not to make it, anything superb necessarily, just to keep it from falling apart. I myself, I would say, we have a modest house, and we probably spend that between 10 and 20,000. Some years probably a bit less, but it would average out probably to 15 every year, just to keep it going. So if you put that on top of the mortgage, it's a lot more than renting, and most of that money isn't ever coming back. And here's why. When you look at the average house appreciation, it barely beats inflation, right? And that was before inflation ran wild. So you were getting probably 3.5% in most places. There's a few geographical exceptions in the world, but most places 3.5% every year. In some booms, I know some people just pre-2007 and then right around the COVID peak or the pandemic peak of real estate, who made decent money in a shorter amount of time. But I can tell you, my grandfather bought a house for $30,000 in the early 80s, sold it for $90,000 or $91,000, I think, a few years ago. He had owned it for 35 years. That is not that great of an investment when you count all the money he put into it, which was new windows, new roofs, new doors, new decks, you name it. Finished the basement, obviously renovated the kitchen, redid the floors. He probably put more in renovations than he got out of the net profits from the $30,000 acquisition price to the sale price. And this is over a 35-year span. So you really can't make an argument with me that a house is a good investment. It is just not. It's a false asset, but you can make money from it. In Canada, there's something called the Smith maneuver you should look into. It allows you to release the equity from your house, invest it in other businesses, stock market being one place, and it also allows you to do a tax deduction on that loan specifically. Now, it's much more complex than what I can explain here in a couple minutes. Find yourself a certified advisor. You can reach to me. I talk about it independently of this. I'm not a certified advisor, but I am using the Smith maneuver. It took me a year to be convinced, so bear in mind, you're going to have some resistance. In the US, well, your mortgage is already tax deductible, but if you unlock your equity, and then you can invest it elsewhere, make it grow in parallel. And then most people object to this and they say, but what if the bank recalls the loan, or what if the market crashes and the value of the house goes lower? Yes, all these things are possible, and all these things are motives to have less money invested and stuck in the house. Let me tell you what happens if the loan is recalled and you can't come up with the money. They take the house. They also take all of the equity you've paid into it. So what's the problem with having less equity stuck in the house at that point? right? They're sleeping with the asset if you were going to default, which I wish on no one, but if it's going to happen, at least risk less of it, especially over time, right? 10, 20 years, if you're almost done paying, the house has appreciated, but you haven't unlocked that new value. Let's say it's doubled in price, and you're just looking at the next 5 years we're going to be paid off. It's going to be ours, and then for some reason can't come up with the money. You lose a job. Whatever economics downturn happens. Yeah, they're going to take the house and they're going to take everything you've paid on it before, because technically the bank owns the house. It owns your home and allows you to stay there while you're paying. That's really what's happening. You don't own that house until it's outright yours. And we're all unfortunately educated. Oh, if you pay one thing in your life, you do one thing, pay off your house, and become a homeowner and pay it off. It's not necessarily bad. It's just not a great way to make money or to accumulate wealth. It just doesn't work. It's a false asset.